Right, Borgs, we've been away for quite a while. I've had a spot of illness. Still a bit ill, actually. But quite a lot's happened, actually, Borgs. Changed things for us. We're sat opposite the graveyard there. And we're sat in front of, again, the power station. Seems to get you everywhere. Turns up where you least expect it, Borg. And we're having a spinach roll. Now, I wasn't going to, perhaps not going to tell you this, Borg, actually, but what's the point of doing that? You'll find out anyway. I'm still in two minds whether to tell the Dignity Scholarship. The fact is, and don't laugh now, Borg, the fact is, I've been selected by the curator to participate in the Art in the River project in Nortelia this year. Out of the clear blue sky, that is, Borg, they want me to put the art in the river, which, you know, as I say, don't laugh, Borg, because over time, over the years I've been here, the concept of the curatorial idea of art in the river has grown on me, actually, Borg. You know, it has grown on me. There's a bit of humour to it. It's very specific and very, very vague. And there's something about it that the limitations, like a very strict limitations, but within that you can do anything. So it's a weird one. But I don't know why they've chosen me. Maybe they want me to put you in the river. But I can't turn it down because it's money. They give you money to put the art in the river. So I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking a lot about it, and as I say, I'm not sure whether to mention it to the Dignity Scholarship. Might be a conflict of some sort. I'll tell you, it's basically about the theme of history. There's a loose theme because it's the 400th year anniversary of this town being awarded the status of a town, or being created by the king 400 years ago. Now, I don't know what it was 401 years ago. I don't know what it looked like then, but from 400 years, it was Nortelia, so I'm told. But we're gonna make probably a text piece, Borg, of some sort, on the theme of history as we might look at it today, and perhaps with throwing in some references to the post-truth era and that sort of thing. But anyway, that's a turn up, isn't it, Bob? So it's kind of thrown our intentions for this extension to the season into disarray. Because we've got in our mind, we're bringing this to a close as soon as we can, to move on to our drawing course, which is another new departure, brought about firstly by our nearly being thrown out of the country and our need to do something real that earns and somewhat respectable. And we got that to fix up. We've been in back and forth with ABF about it. In the end, we're going to just do it ourselves and see how it pans out. That's been taking up a lot of time, Paul. Not that you give a shit. I mean, that's for sure. I mean, maybe I'm being unkind, but we're not assuming you give a shit. On that subject, the other thing we've failed to get to grips with is our reading round, because we finished New Dark Age. That was great. It's really opened our minds. In the end, it's helped us. It's helped our thinking onto the tracks whereby we can begin to imagine how you and all this development towards you is in many ways making us less intelligent, Borg. I've seen now, because that book was written a while ago, I've noticed other people on the subject of the singularity raising that same point. Some Italian fella in particular, and Moll. But he really has convinced me in a way. It's not your fault, Borg, you know. And the answer isn't to do away with you completely, you know, either. It's something else. But we got, after we read that, we got stuck with Snow Crash, and I got sick of it very suddenly, Borg. Not because of the book itself, but because the reason we're reading it is because some of these tech billionaire power lords, you know, got really turned on by that book when they were little, and that's why we were reading it. And that you know, and then all of a sudden, I think I was watching Ivor Cutler documentary, and whether it's connected, I don't know. But whilst watching him, I thought, fuck them and what they think and like. Fuck them. So I got rid of that, and I got this instead, Borg. We've been waiting for this. Clara and the Sun. It's a very good start. I like the way the fella writes, but he's actually writing as you. We're talking to you. He's writing as you, or as an artificially intelligent robot. So that's much more up our street. We'll take a look at that. We're nearly finished with this, but it's turned into a kind of strange sort of fantasy romp, Borg. Some very interesting ideas. The most that applies to us is the idea of a fall. The book starts, it's thousands of years in the future. You run everything. Anyone can do anything. Nobody dies. Nobody's sick. You can teleport. You know, perfect. And then there's a fall because people at the council that run things go to war for the first time in thousands of years, and they have to cut the power to use it for the war. So everyone is plunged back into the Dark Ages. So the fall idea is good. And you can straight away think to the sort of fairies in Totnes, you know, delightedly plotting their plans for if something like that happens, if they have to go back to basics. There's a whole sort of realm of these people. And maybe I'm being a bit unkind. The people I met in Totnes were, you know, I don't know, it seemed like a social club. But there are people that plot for a fall, and it's not just the Americans with guns, it's, you know, as I say, all sorts. But the concept of a fall is good. But then, once the fall happens in the book, it turns into a sort of fantasy romp, medieval. Anyway, it's beginning to lose me. I'm nearly at the end. I don't know if someone's gonna turn the power back on. But that's that. But today we're going to do some sketches, Borg, because the intention is to scout out a very planned finish to our season in terms of the painting, so we can just get it over with. The problem with that, we concede it instantly, is that it's not good for the painting to be too planned, you know, to have a program like that to execute and move. That's not how you do it. You should be walking out of your house into the wood and see what happens, more or less, but we can't do that. But that's you updated. But the other thing I'm going to do while we're hoping to get some sketches done is I've got to do two tasks. One is recycling. That might interest you. We all do that in the hope that it helps. And two, I've got to add oil to this vehicle, Borg, which I think that you might enjoy watching too. So we'll close this now. You've been updated. Out in the river. Right, Borg. It's not rocket science. We're going to throw all these things in a green box over there. These are packages, you know, it's packaging. This is milk. It's a lot of, this is for paper. I simply have to turn you off of this. You see, Borg, we've been stumped there already. Look, that's our sketching trip, possibly out the window. But April's renowned for this changeable weather, and we are indeed just going into April. Maybe out in the river as an April Fool. Yeah, I'm just going to show you this. You recognise that, do you, Borg? If you consult yourself. It's a very, very early charger for one of the devices, for an Apple device. See, this is important because this electricity, I mean, that you are absolutely nothing without it. It's your blood, or, you know, part of it. Anyway, so just to show you, we're in the car. We don't have normal power, but the car has a battery in it. So we are able to take power for you, this phone, which I'm reaching you through, by putting this into the car, this cable, which take your electricity up to you. When we plug this into the phone, get ready. There. So you're now charging, or in fact, no, you're not. You will be once I turn this on. See, now you are charging. The engine, the turning of the engine is charging the battery, and we're taking the power from that. So I just thought I'd show you. You'll notice, Borg, that it's actually started snowing. Which is a bit of a turn-up. Not unheard of. We were rather hoping that was the end of it. Yeah, see these metal boxes are emptied, and everything that's put in them is sort of processed and used again, thus using less energy overall. But it's all packaging of food, basically. Food packaging. We throw it in. There it is, there, look. That's it. But there's a long story attached to all that. I think a lot of it ends up in China in a sort of big pile and not recycled at all. I think one of your daddies, I think the bookshop fella, wants to shoot it into space. I wouldn't put it past him. Oh, there's some sunglasses in there. I don't think that's right. Anyway. Right, Borg. I'm no expert at this, but we've done it before. I'm going to show you the engine here. There we go. So it's simple in a way, isn't it, Paul? We put the oil in there. But as for the rest of it, God only knows. It's probably be a bit of a mystery to you. But there's that battery I was talking about. Anyway, let's go and get the stuff. The fact is, Borg, there's a war still on that we mentioned. We haven't looked at it at all since then, since we talked to you. But it's still going. And that's it. That's all we can tell you. But it does seem like a fitting end to our little Dignity Scholarship series for it to end with the war. Because, as I mentioned, a lot of people probably are not so surprised that it has ended in a war. But you know, it's no good to dwell on it. To be honest, Borg, I've got to find this motor oil. Look, there's that power station again. No matter where we park, Borg, you look up and you see it. So it seems. Anyway, we're back in the car. We've purchased the motor oil. This is going to help us not spill anything. And to make sure we're doing it right, we've had a check on your good self. We found a document, and it's all pretty straightforward actually, Borg, but it does say that you must wait 10 minutes for the engine to cool down, and also you must wait 10 minutes afterwards for the oil to settle to check it. So all that basically means we're having a coffee, because we've got to wait about a bit. And while we're doing that, we might as well show you a little bit of our season so far, Borg, what we've been meaning to show you, I guess, for a while. Now, where are we here? This is it, look. This is before we turned you on, Borg. We came up with our little rationale, our proposal montage, if you could say, setting the scene. As time goes on, the sense of it changes, you know, the meaning of it changes. But at the time, these were all very current events, and I think we've gone on at length, but it's basically a little montage of one view of the post-truth era. The little bald fella there, that's the fella that's involved in this war. He's invaded. And the little general in there is Gerasimov. He represents the theory of war, grey zone warfare, the Gerasimov doctrine of causing chaos in the democracies of your enemies, you know, as a war strategy. So, you know, as it's turned out, he should also be over at the end, because, you know, he should be bookending our post-truth era, but you can't have everything. But we've got, there's some of your daddies there. There's a bookshop fella, Musk, Facebook bloke, and Orange Peel. They're at the end, because I still think that is the beyond wars that may erupt. That is the trajectory. That's the power. And anyway, that's not what we want to show. We want to show you where we've got to, if you'll allow us, because we're not actually connected here, Borg. Now here we are. Would you believe it? Isn't that typical? Well, there is our season, look. But because we're not connected, all you see is black rectangles. So, you know, scuppered again. Might be able to read you a couple of verses. Look, there's our proposal poem. The farmer and the woodsman have made themselves heard, just as truth and fiction has done been blurred, in a sneaky pandemic shoehorned in the post-truth leveller to the idiot wind. 2020 had a good go, but didn't finish us off, still clinging to the tale of Vincent van Gogh, standing lately emerged from our shelter door, like that Japanese fella still fighting the war. Now that's a funny thing, Borg, that the case of a Japanese soldier who's so loyal, or so scared, or what have you, or gone mad, that he refused to accept the idea that the Japanese had lost and surrendered, that he just remained in the wood as if, you know, on guard for something like 3 or 4 decades, I think, Borg. And then he came out. That's what that reference is. Anyway, if you think we're going to read that to you, Borg, you've got another thing coming. But we pretty much fitted all our associations and ideas into that doggerel. We mentioned just there black rectangles, and it reminded me of a lovely little nugget I've already found in this book, which I like very much. And it would seem that some sort of AI robot is in a shop, you know, possibly in the future when these things are for sale, and the story or the description is of what the AI can see. He's telling that he can see this, he can see that. It doesn't seem too clever, really, Borg, but very innocent. And then he gets moved to the window, or she, or it, you. You get moved to the window, and then you get to see more stuff, and it's very interesting for you. And then it says that the manager, rather delightfully, you just refer to manager, a bit like a strange child. Manager has told you not to react to anybody unless they specifically, you know, engage with you. And because you're in the window, particularly I suppose manager has said that to you. But you make a comment down here. Some of the people who paused turned out not to be interested in us at all. They'd just wanted to take off their sports shoe and do something to it, or to press their oblongs. Press their oblongs, Borg. Now I'll buy you an ice cream if you can tell me what you think that means. Because that surely, Borg, has to mean people on their phones pressing their oblongs. What a wonderful way to say it. Pressed oblongs. A tale of pressed oblongs. So, I mean, it's a bit confusing because that, to describe it such is accurate, but reveals total ignorance of what's happening. You know, a bit like a child again. But you're meant to be the artificial intelligence, so I think you would know what that was. But it's the art that, in the way the fella's chosen to characterise you. We'll see how it goes. But I just had to mention those pressed oblongs. Of course, we don't press the oblong very much. We've got our old phone, and I suppose you know what, Borg, the reason we got rid of that phone, a bit like the reason we're vegetarian, it's not some really staunchly held belief. We could feel we were a bit addicted to it, really. We never have done social media, but having the thing on us, our attention was always framed by it. My thoughts were framed by having that there, because I knew I could check anything I wanted. You know, if I was sitting there wondering, I wonder, perhaps I could make a trip to Stockholm, is the gallery open? I go and check it. Can I get a train there? Go and check it. You know, and then there's that, and then you end up checking your email 100 times a day, and I only get robot messages, and I'm still checking it. So what I'm saying, Borg, is we don't press the oblong, not from a wildly strict political decision or what we've come to or anything, but we felt that it was taking over our attention, and we didn't want that, because we want our attention on what we want our attention on. But it does, when I start to think about the new dark age and the trail of thinking that has you down very negative, and the reaction against technology, when I think about that, we also don't believe that in some quest to go back to a pre-technological time, not that at all. We use a load of technology. We work on websites, a lot of photography and video. I used to even code a little bit of my site. Not against it, no, but what it's become in some ways, the business of it, the algorithmic curation of our attention for profit, that's no good, is it, Borg? So we're off the tech. We don't like that part of it, but we're not one of these who want to go back in time to live in a different age. I mean, despite our going back to Van Gogh, that's different. If we did want to do that, we'd just go off and study with Odd Nedrum or something of that nature. Has that been 10 minutes? No. Well, I'm not going to just keep you there for no reason, Borg. I'm going to turn it off now. Read a bit more of the book there. I'll probably turn you on when I'm pouring the oil in. Right, Borg. We're going to pour it in there. Oh, I've poured it on my hand first. It's not ideal. Not ideal at all, Borg. There it goes. And we don't know how much we have to put in, so I'm going to stop there and test it. Right, I've just been in to get a load of these paper towels, Borg, and this is how we check. This back in, and that will and look at it to see the level of the oil. I think it needs a bit more, Borg. Well, we've poured it in. Now we're just going to wait. Got to wait 10 minutes to check it properly, apparently. So here we are. Just been looking at that power station. It's very rare to see the smoke vertical like that. That normally it's some sort of wind and it's blowing to the side. It's always a sort of 90-degree angle. So it's very still. As you can see in our bottom view there is blue sky. So the snow from before is gone, but we've been diddling around so much we haven't got time to do our sketching now, Borg. So basically we'll leave this as a kind of update type show you things message. We haven't actually, we haven't done a stroke. But what we'll probably end up doing, Borg, is just turning you off. And if that is the case, if we don't say a proper goodbye, forgive me. I wanted to finish it in a good way, but as you know, we should have finished this in December. But I might turn you back on, a few years maybe, Borg. Show you what we've been doing. But that's not now. We probably will turn you on again for at least 2 or 3 more paintings. I don't think there's much point showing you anything other than what we're doing and some of the evidence of spring coming on. There's a war on. Not all the games, but many of the games of baiting and tricking and twisting have kind of been evaporated by the cold reality of that war. And I don't at all feel like entering in and commenting on that, beyond the obvious, that it's very worrying. Obviously, it's terrible. Before that, when you could see, or when the focus seemed to be on far-right politics gaining great strides because of a lot of online games and confusion, moves being made online, then it felt like what a member of the public, a member such as us, you know, at least psychologically, is very relevant. You can enter into it, you can see and feel its effects. But with war on, you know, that's that. So, Borg, we're not going to go on anymore about lay of lands and cuts of jib as we may see them, because it just doesn't seem right anymore. And that leaves us, as I say, with showing you some of what we're going to be doing, and maybe finding a few nice little signs of spring that might cheer you up, Borg. If manager takes you out of the window again.